Waiting for us to start. All right, we are live. All right, everybody. If there's any viewers out there right now, or to be, this is Ayam Sirias. I'm doing another chat this weekend. Uh, my usual guests, MGTOW, Expat, and Nick will be in shortly, but we're starting now with a personal friend of mine who goes by Cabin Boy. And Cabin Boy is here on my request. I asked him to come on to talk about a specific topic, which came to my attention based on the last chat I had, and I'll go over that in a minute. And Cabin Boy is from the local, originally from the local blood reserve, close to where we're living here, in southern Alberta area, Canada. And I brought him on because he probably is the best to ask about some of these questions that came up. So anyway, Cabin Boy, say hello and go ahead and introduce yourself any further if you want to.
Hello there. Yeah, I'm Cabin Boy. I am from the Blood Reserve here in southwestern Alberta, Canada, and I don't like to live on the reserve. I'll say that right now because of just the way everything is run there, right? And if you get time to do research about the Blood Reserve, it's the largest Indian reserve in Canada.
Woo! That's right. I forgot about that. It is the biggest, isn't it?
Yeah, and yeah, what I have to say is that the economy on Blood Reserve, like I don't really pay attention to that because I'm just doing my own thing off the reserve, and well, because basically it's to me like I don't work on the reserve because it's all about nepotism and favoritism.
Nepotism and
Okay.
favoritism.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Now, before you continue, let me just kind of set this up a little bit more for the listeners, because there's a lot. This is a lot of good stuff that I want to get into. Um, so basically, as he said, Cabin Boy's from the Blood Reserve, close to where we live, and it is the biggest reserve in Canada, which I didn't quite realize. I know I'd heard that before. Now, some of the things I'm going to talk to him about are based on a comment that was made in a chat before and other stuff as well. And I'm sure that Expat and Nick, when they get on here, they'll have some questions. However, before we begin, as Cabin Boy, just to fill you in as well, my channel is a MGTOW channel, which is dedicated mostly to issues dealing with men and men's lives,
okay,
men's health, men's psychology, men's lives, men's work, all sorts of stuff to do with men. Now, the reason why I was very interested in talking to you, it wasn't just because of this comment that came up, but
mhm,
I made a video on my channel about 3 years ago, okay? About 3.5 years ago, which was called The Disappeared. And it's not a very viewed video. I'm because it was one of my earlier ones. The quality wasn't very good, so not a lot of views. But the point of that video was that in the national papers of Canada, back in 2014, when I was still in Indonesia, there was a lot of talk about missing Aboriginal women. It was a big crisis in Canada, all these Aboriginal women going missing. So obviously, when women go missing, suddenly the entire country's up in arms and they want to solve the problem. And I went and did a little research, and I found that actually Native American or Aboriginal men in Canada are 2 to 3 times more likely to go missing or end up dead than the women are. It's actually a pretty big difference between the men and the women. And so I made a video about that because of my channel is dedicated to men's stuff. I pointed out that it's actually Aboriginal men that are more in danger than the women are in this country. Statistically, it's proven. I went through the statistics from RCMP Canada, Stats Canada, but nobody ever talks about it.
yeah, it's
You
yeah.
understand?
That's you're the first person I've heard that from. Like the men are more easier to get lost or go missing than the woman.
Yeah.
It's always the women that go
Yeah.
missing, and like they say they disappear by the thousands. But I never heard of men actually
No,
disappearing.
that's because you know, in society in general, it doesn't matter if you're Native American or you're an immigrant or you're a white-born Canadian. Um, men's lives are more disposable. I mean, this is a topic on my channel, which maybe you don't something you haven't talked a lot about with people or thought about, but they're more men's lives are more disposable. So when a woman goes missing, especially a Native American woman, it's headlines.
Yeah. Oh
There's
yeah.
posters are put up all over the place. I mean, it's pushed into the psyche of the communities. A Native American man goes missing, no one gives a shit.
Yeah. No. Nope. They're just like, oh, maybe he's out partying or he'll come back.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is I did a little bit of research on it a few years back, and I went through Stats Canada, I went through the RCMP, I looked at everything I could find, and every single statistic on record showed that Native American men disappear 3 times more than women,
Mm-hmm.
and are murdered 3 times more than women.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, well, if that's the case, why does nobody talk about it?
I know that's the first time I've heard it today, and
Mm-hmm.
it's shocking. Like to me, maybe the reason why they're going missing is just because maybe they're sick of their life and they want to go somewhere and do something, or they're out partying
Mm-hmm.
with friends or somebody that they just met, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
like with the women, I could see why they're well. My own personal opinion is the reason why they're going missing is because they're probably got nowhere to go, and there's somebody that comes picks them up and say, "Hey, I'll take you out somewhere," and then like they probably don't have a cell phone, a fixed
Mm-hmm.
address, stuff like that, and all of a sudden, boom, they're missing.
Yeah, they're gone.
And
And and it's horrible anytime that happens, but it's happening more to men than it is women,
uh,
like 3 times more.
mhm,
And if like you'll see posters up of, okay, this Native woman is gone missing. She's been gone for 48 hours, 3 days. We need to find her.
yeah.
And in the time that she's gone missing, statistically, 3 men have gone missing.
Hmm.
That's a statistical fact. In the time she's been missing, statistically, 3 men have gone missing, and there's no posters up for them.
No, no. If you ever get a chance to get onto the Lethbridge Police Twitter
Mm-hmm.
account, right? If you look it up, they have the same thing with missing persons from around Lethbridge and like around here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they just did one today for this I guess this Lethbridge mother. She looks native, and they said that she was last seen October 26th or August 26th.
August 26th, yeah.
Yeah, and that's how they all posted on social media. I'm pretty sure it's on Facebook, and like that's a long time to be missing.
That is a long time to be missing.
Almost a month.
And this is the thing. If you're posting up missing people stuff on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
chances are you're going to find them a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a Native American man and you go missing,
Yeah.
no one's going to look for you, buddy.
No.
Like, you're fucked.
Yeah, they're oh, I haven't seen him in a while. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's all they say.
Yeah.
The women, they're like, oh, so and so, age 20, 21, last seen 2 weeks ago. Haven't heard anything or called.
Yeah.
Please,
Yeah.
if you know about her whereabouts, contact this number.
Yeah.
And it's constant posting, like their picture and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, what they were wearing. But yeah, the men, I mean, maybe that's why I never heard of it, because they just don't give a shit about
They
it.
don't give a shit. That's my point. Is one of the reasons why I have the channel that I have, and a lot of other men do too, is because it's sort of a backlash against society in general, basically seeing men as just disposable. There's really very little compassion for men.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very, very little.
Uh-huh.
And it's undeserved. It's very undeserved. And the reason why like again, like a channel like mine exists, is because it's very easy to see. There's so much evidence in your
Mhm.
face about how there's so little compassion for men. Yet, if you, for even on the reservation, on the blood reservation, from the reservation into the city, the entire infrastructure, the roads, the houses, the plumbing, the electricity, that was all built by men.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
so the point is men are building these societies, and in what they get for thanks is, oh, you're missing? Ah, it's too bad. See you later.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Uh,
So anyway, that's sort of what this channel is about, right? But
mhm.
having you on here, I kind of want to go a little bit more into the condition of the reservations, and I'm going to read the comment that kind of sparked. Um, let's see, where is it? Okay, so this was from a guy that's been subscribed to me for a while, MGTOW, and he says native land is exempt from Canadian law, and it might. He says this might translate to poor administration, but it also means any monopoly or IP laws affecting Canada and the U.S. go out the window there. Okay, and this is interesting because this is talking about business on the level of IP and internet.
Yeah.
Those laws don't apply on the reserve, man.
No,
It's incredible.
I know. Like
Uh,
for instance,
uh-huh.
say, well, we call ourselves First Nations here,
First
right? We
Nations,
don't
yeah.
call them Native Americans. That's in the States. So a First Nations man commits a crime off the reserve, right?
Mm.
Maybe something small, like maybe he stole a truck or something. He brings it onto the reserve. RCMP can't go onto the reserve and catch him. They don't have that jurisdiction. But what they could do is go through the Blood Tribe Police and say, so and so stole a truck. We believe he's on the Blood Reserve. Can you find him? He said, well, we're trying to look for him because he stole the truck off the reserve and we can't go on the reserve. So if you could find him, can you bring him to us, right? And I remember that when I was maybe about a teenager, but I'm pretty sure it's been longer than that. Like the RCMP can't go onto the Blood Reserve because they don't
Mm.
have jurisdiction, right? And the hunting laws as well. Like we could hunt on the reserve, right? If we go into another person's like around his house or pretty much on his land or territory, you
Mm.
have to go ask permission. You have to say, hey, I'm just in the area. I'd like to do some hunting. May I do some hunting around here? Like, oh yeah, most people, what I find, they're really about that issues that they're how would you say they're overprotective.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they'll still see a random vehicle driving around their land. They're like, okay, somebody's on my land. I'm going out there, and that's how these land disputes start from there. And like my dad's the same way. Somebody drives around his land trying to, go hunting. He'll go out there by himself. But Dad, don't do that. There's probably more than one person. They'll take you out.
Yeah, right. But I think it's fascinating. So basically, if a First Nations person commits grand theft auto
Yeah.
outside of the reserve, and
Uh-huh.
they drive the vehicle onto the reserve, they're
Mhm.
basically the police can't do fuck all unless the what do you call the heads of the reservation? What's the proper name for them?
The police.
The, well, the people on the reservations that are sort of kind of the governing bodies and the system set up. What do you call them? Tribal leaders,
Well, yeah. Well, they're basically called chief and council.
chief and
That's what.
council, right? Okay.
Yeah. And well, they wouldn't know till like afterwards, right? Because it could happen
Mhm.
overnight, and and
No,
yeah,
and obviously, so they would have to turn that person over to the police, right?
yeah, and good luck finding him because it's the biggest reserve in Canada. He could be hiding anywhere,
Right.
but it depends on like like say if the RCMP know him, right? What if they know his name? They tell the cops on the blood reserve, okay, well, he's got a stolen truck. He went to the reserve. So it's like I don't want to use any last names, but if they say, oh, for instance, Bobby, and his last name was, no, I won't say it, okay, but the cops know where the family stays, right? Like for instance, my family, they stay right beside St. Mary's Dam, right?
Hmm.
And they'll be okay. Well, that family lives right there. So if it's based on your last name and like, and they have like different parts of the reserve. For instance, Moses Lake is right beside Cardston. It's a small community,
Hmm.
and then uh, Standoff, they call it Townside because
Oh,
it's
okay.
just. And then there's another place called Little Chicago. It's just a few houses. Uh,
Would you
Fish
would you
Creek.
would you say that the sort of the infrastructure of everywhere where you're mentioning is kind of the same? Like it's not the best.
Mm, yeah, it's not the best, but like for instance, in Moses Lake, uh, the most successful business there is probably the gas station because they sell gas, cigarettes,
Yeah, and you
and
guys
of
get
course,
cheaper. You guys get cheaper gas and cigarettes, right?
yeah, oh yeah, hmm yeah. Like say for instance, we're all given a tax exemption card, and that's what makes it cheaper.
Right.
And if somebody were to ask me, like a non-native person, ask me to buy them smokes for them right under reserve because it's cheaper,
Hmm.
I'd probably get I'd probably get a fine for it or jail time
Really?
because
So you're not
yeah, years ago,
you're not allowed to buy
years
cigarettes for
ago,
the non-natives.
yeah, yeah, cigarettes and like tobacco products, anything with that card. I can't use
Mm,
that card, just for somebody else.
right. Right. Obviously, that makes sense. Um, now, you told me earlier that you choose not to live on the reserve. Can you kind of
Mm.
explain a little bit why?
Well, yeah. Well, the reason why I don't like to live on reserve is because I can't get a job on the reserve. Like I said earlier about the nepotism.
Ah, that's right. I wanted to get into that. You were saying how a lot of the businesses that are run on the reservations are very nepotistic.
Yeah, and I don't know about now because I haven't been on the reserve. Like I just go maybe once or twice a year,
Hmm.
and everybody knows that, right? Like there's this one how would we put it? One company on the reserve.
Okay.
The manager, okay, he's just going to be saying, okay, well, I'm kind of shorthanded. I'm going to start putting out posters, for the job opening.
Yeah.
As soon as the relatives of that manager see that, they'll go and apply, or the manager will tell them, hey, we're hiring, come over and I'll hire you just like that, And but for somebody like that relative is not qualified to do the job or incompetent, they'll still hire him, right?
Right.
And versus somebody that's very qualified for that job, they won't hire them. Like, no, maybe we'll give you a call, but the spot's been filled.
So is that is so it makes a difference depending on what family you come from. Like if you're from one of the better what more well-off families, you're better chance of getting a job.
Yeah, that's the way I see it, and that's why
Okay.
I don't live on the reserve. I wouldn't. I'd probably just be another poor person, living and
Right.
breathing.
Living and
And I
breathing.
could, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's all you're doing. Is you're living, you're breathing, but you're not doing anything with your life.
Yeah. Well, you're
And there's
breeding
some breathing
and breeding. Man, they have
and
something.
breathing.
They never stop pumping out kids, man.
I know that's another thing too. It's just that's why we're the or the largest in Canada. That's what I believe because you see a Native woman pregnant and these six other kids running around like,
Ooh. Yeah, it's
and that
crazy, man.
and that's how some of them they just live off welfare because they have so many
Yes,
kids. They get money every month, and they're like,
yes,
"Oh, I don't have to do anything."
yes, yes. It's incredible. Like these Native well, I guess First Nation women are pumping out like a kid a year,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and 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 the federal government here in Canada is giving them like $500 a head.
Yeah. 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 And
Plus, sorry.
we just got a distribution of $200. What's today? The 16th. We got it on the 13th,
Oh, I
and
know,
that's
man.
from chief and council. That's the people that don't own any land. They get $200. So you could imagine the single mom with 6 kids with no land, how much she's getting. You know.
Well, yeah, a single First Nations woman. She's
Mhm.
got 5 kids,
Mhm.
probably from 5 different guys,
Maybe. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
She's getting $500 a kid. Plus, she doesn't own land, so the council's giving her money 3 times a year or whatever.
Mhm.
And then she's probably getting money, other kinds of money. Don't they get other kind of government money as well?
Well, I know if like say if they were on welfare,
Right, welfare.
the last time when I heard how much it was I think it was $304 or around that amount. And like say a single mom, 6 kids gets that much for either every kid, like what 304 times 6, that's what?
Holy shit, are you serious? So she gets an extra
Yeah.
$300 a kid? Okay,
Yeah.
so now this single First Nation woman with 6 kids from probably 6 different dudes is now
Hmm.
making a total, if you include the child tax benefit and welfare, she's making a total of about $850 per kid.
Hmm. Yeah.
Holy
And
shit, man.
as, as well as I'm pretty sure they get family allowance as well. I'm not sure
Yes,
how much,
that's a
but
monthly
that's
thing
like,
too, family allowance.
yeah. And all she has to do is spoil herself and those little brats, and she has it made. She doesn't have to work.
She's making 5 to 8 grand a month.
Yeah, that's a lot, you know.
Holy shit, man.
Mhm.
I wasn't making that much
And
when I had a great job in Jakarta. I
uh-huh.
wasn't making
No,
nearly that much.
me too.
Holy Christ. No wonder. This is
Uh,
that is incredible.
yeah.
It and the thing is though is I mean, as an outside observer, I don't know if you know this, cabin boy, but my brother, I have 3 younger brothers, and the one after me,
Hmm.
he had 3 kids with a lady from the blood reserve,
Yeah.
and they live together. And I mean, they're not together anymore,
Hmm.
but you know, so I mean, I have a little bit of familiarity with the situation over there and what's going on and stuff.
Yeah.
But another this again kind of bleeds over into what my channel's kind of been about. And when you have a situation where a young woman,
Hmm.
whether she's First Nations or not, a
Hmm.
young woman gets herself pregnant. I mean, there's really no incentive for her not to. I mean, can you
No.
imagine? Like it's like, oh, I can just get pregnant and walk away with 5 grand. Like, what the hell? So there's this real incentive for them to do this, but it's I think it's damaging in the long run to the society and the culture.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a lot of little kids growing up without a father figure and then not a stable home,
Hmm.
and then that kind of leads a lot to what you see. I think
Hmm.
coming off the reservation, there is a lot of drug abuse, a lot of alcohol abuse, et
Hmm.
cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's your opinion on that situation?
I just, to me, I just look down on it. Like, I'm thinking, okay, well, these kids are going to grow up, you know, they may or may not go to school. And if I say, for instance, the mother's not working, not doing anything, the kids are going to see that, right?
Yep.
And they're going to say, okay, well, you know what? I don't want to work. I don't know what work is, so I'm just going to probably go on welfare too. But it's changed now. A long time ago, when I was 18,
Hmm.
everybody said, "Oh, are you going to get?" They call it SS. It stands for social services, and pretty much welfare, right? And I was just like, yeah, that's free money. Go sign up for it. They'll give it to you. If you're
Hmm.
not working, they'll give it to you. All right. But like being on the largest reserve in Canada, there's a lot of people once they turn 18, they want to go on welfare right away.
Really? Like
And
there's no like desire to like, oh, I want to get my first job. I want to go get my first job and earn some money. There's not that.
no, it's very rare that you'll see somebody say, "Oh, I'm out of school. I want to go to school," or I graduated high school. I would don't want to go out and get a job or go back to school and stuff like that. And that's what I see when I go into say standoff or these other communities in on the reserve, because all they do is just like they're just there. They're just living. They're not doing anything with their life. And like I said earlier, the kid sees the mom not working, always at home, rarely does anything, go out, do anything. And the kid picks up on it, right? And but like they just changed this maybe over 10 years ago. Is that they you have to be 25 and over to get the welfare, right?
Yeah.
And you can't just be 25 and go and apply for uh, welfare. You have to have a lot of paperwork, like doctor notes, uh, if you're on any medication, something that pretty much makes you useless. They'll help you, right?
Mm.
And to me, like what bugs me is that these people are that's all they do is live off the welfare system, and it's like they're living la vida loca. They're like, oh, well, we're gonna get money next month, and you see, like I've seen some of them, they overspend. They have like a large TV. They've got they got video games for their kids, right?
Hmm.
And that like they just get up, eat, do whatever at home, play games, and that's what
Yeah.
bugs me because I've
Sorry.
been I was raised I've been
Go ahead.
raised differently because like I was I lived with my dad, my stepmom, my whole life or most of my life, right?
Hmm.
And we were sent to go to school in Cardston. My dad would not send me to the blood reserve school
Ooh, good.
because he thought differently of it, right? He said, "Oh, they won't teach you anything." So he sent me to Cardston. So I went from kindergarten to grade 12, right? And right
Yeah.
after I graduated, I never really thought about going to college. I wanted to work. I wanted to come off the reserve, find a job. Just like what I'm doing now. It took me a long time to get where I am now, right? And
Yeah.
like I have a son, he's 13. He lives with his mom, and
Mhm.
that's one of the number one reasons why I work so hard every day is to pay her child support, right?
Oh God, you're in the child support game. Son
I
of a
am,
bitch,
yeah.
man. Wow. That's a whole
400
other
a
thing.
month.
How much?
Yeah, 400 a month.
See, there's another thing. There's another thing, man, with these a lot of these single mothers, especially these women from the reservations. I mean, and again, this goes beyond the reservation. This is happening in the rest of the city. But these
Mhm.
women are getting, like we mentioned before, they're getting, maybe 500 to 800 bucks a head for a kid, and then on top of that, there's incentive to not even stay with the father
Mhm.
because she can just take his money.
Yeah, and like it bugs me so much. Like some of them, like in my case, she's just holding that kid, not letting me see him, stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure she's at
Oh,
my age to know that, you know, who I am now, right? And a lot of people tell me, oh, um, you're like the only one I know that pays child support. And I said, really? Yeah, there's some friends that I know that don't even pay child support and they have 4 or 5 kids. It's like, holy cow.
Wait a second. Are these are these First Nation people, natives, or they are?
Yeah.
Okay, they are. Because I think
Yeah.
there's got to be. Oh, hey, before we continue, I just want to. We got Nick in here. Hey, Nick, can you hear me?
Yep.
All
Good
right.
day. Good day.
Good day, man. How are things over on your end?
Well, I'm enjoying the conversation. I'm just sitting here listening to his story.
Okay, good. Yeah. Cabin Boy, this is Nick. He's come on my show a couple times and some other MGTOW shows. And he's here to listen and contribute if he wants to.
Yeah, I'm a little bit curious. How long do you have to pay the 400 a month for? How many years?
Oh, geez, I started. My son had to be about 3 years old, so that was back in 2007.
Oh, so you've been doing it a while.
For a long time. So now he's 13, and when he's 18, that's when I get to stop paying child support.
Yeah, but they'll still be hitting you up for money. You know.
Oh yeah, of course.
It won't even matter.
Yeah, and for me, I was just an easy rollover. Like when she took me to court, they're saying, "Okay, can you pay 400?" And I was just like, "I could pay 300." And they're like, "Okay, 300." And then I thought, "Wait, hold on." And I said, "What about 250?" And he said, "Nope, 300." I was like, "Oh." And I didn't pay for about over 2 years, and they tracked me down. They cut my bank account off, all my money.
Wow.
And this is
scary.
It is like I was at Walmart buying groceries, right? And I bought a lot. Next thing, my card wouldn't work. I'm like, what the heck? And so I called my bank, and they said, "Oh, there's a block from child maintenance." He says, "You haven't been paying them, so that's why they blocked your account." And he said, "Any kind of money that goes in there, they're going to take it." I was like, "Oh."
So I'm joining. I'm joining the party late. What state are you from?
He's Canadian from my province, Alberta. We're both in southern Alberta.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot to say. Yeah, I'm from it's called the Blood Reservation in southwestern Alberta, Canada.
Biggest one in Canada.
And how old are you?
And 37. I just turned 37 on September 11th.
Okay.
Hey, nice birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, I don't live on.
He was born on the same day New York fell.
Yeah.
Well, I've never spoken to a Native American before, so this would be a first for me. So I'm really interested in seeing what you have to say.
Okay.
Right on, man.
Yeah. Like we don't call it here where I'm from in Canada. We don't call ourselves Native Americans. We call ourselves First Nations, and what that stands for is we were the first ones here in Canada before the Europeans landed.
Right.
And like some of them out there, they get offended if you call them an Indian.
I can understand.
They're like, "Oh no, we didn't come from India." Like, "Don't call me an Indian. I'm a First Nation." Like, "Oh, all right."
Well, the Indians I talk to usually don't care. And you know the ones that I usually talk to.
Yeah, I see them too. Yeah, so like we're the biggest, largest reserve in Canada. And
all right, I got a question because this is something that's been plaguing my mind for a while. Is it true about all the First Nation people, the women, young women are missing? Is that true?
oh yeah, right. So it's because to me, they're more. How would you say it? They're more open to get go missing, right? Because they're out on the street by themselves. Somebody must have came picked them up, and next thing, like what I was saying earlier.
We were just talking about that. We were just talking about that, Cabin Boy, right at the beginning of our show, and I mentioned to him how a lot of Native, or I guess First Nation people go missing a lot, not just the women. And in fact, the statistics are 3 times more of the men go missing than the women. But the reason why you only hear about the women is because that's sort of the narrative. That's the cultural, social narrative. When a First Nation woman goes missing, it fucking stops. You know, sporting events start wearing colors. You know, parades happen. Money is donated. When a First Nation man goes missing, nobody gives a shit.
Nobody cares.
Nobody
Like,
gives a shit.
well, the reason why I think that is because maybe like all the women, like some of them have, you know, their children in their care, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that just rolls down to like, if the mother's missing, where are these kids going to go? You know, like, do they have to go to child services? You know?
Well, they could go to their dads if they.
They could, yeah, but it's, you know, like if they went to court for, what do you call it again? When you have to take care of a child, I forgot what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, Nick, if you heard right before you came on, we kind of figured out that a lot of these First Nation women from the reservations that have like 5 or 6 kids, you know, from different fathers are pulling in $8,000 a month. $8,000 a month, man, and that's from child tax, from welfare, from money from the baby daddies. It's just incredible, man. Incredible.
And some men are lucky out there because they're not together, but the woman will say, "Oh, will you come take the kids for a while?" Right? And it's just like no problem. The guy, yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Do you find that it's? I mean, within the community of the blood reservation there, and the community of the people that you know, is it common for the men to like kind of go, "Hey, I'd like to see my kid, but not be able to"?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the situation I'm in because my ex-common law has custody of my son. Right? Like she got custody just like that, and then I got pinned with the child support payment. And then after that, she's just like, "Oh, I don't want you to see your son. I don't want your son to know you." And it's just like, what the heck? But it's just like that all over the reserve, and it's very rare that the parents will say, "Okay, well, I think it's your turn to take care of the kid," while she goes out and probably gets pregnant by someone else.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, and again, these things they're not specific to the reservation. These situations. However, I do think there's a lot of unique qualities about the blood reserve out here, and just the condition of the reserve. Oh, and also we got expats in. You there, buddy?
What's up, my man? Hey,
All
what's
right.
up, guys?
Hey.
Hi.
Happy to be here.
Right on, man. Just been having an interesting talk here with Cabin Boy.
Nice. Good movie, huh?
Movie.
Yeah, it's a Chris Elliott movie. He's a funny guy. He used to have a show called Get a Life, but he's in Something About Mary. But there was a movie with him called Cabin Boy. I never saw yet.
Oh,
I want to.
I haven't. I never even knew. Yeah. So, somebody I'm going to the talks here. I mean, we were talking a little bit about kind of drug abuse, Cabin Boy, and alcohol abuse, and the single motherhood that's coming out of the reservation, because it's pretty big, man. And I would say that it's more of a problem there than it is in the city.
Oh yeah.
Like, have you been exposed to a lot of that on the reservation?
No, like I told you before, I was raised different. Like we were raised around that rampant alcoholism, that drug abuse, and
Oh God, what is that noise?
It might be. Hold on. It might be Expat. He told me to kind of monitor his volume.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi is shit over here. Well, I don't even have Wi-Fi now. I'm using my cell phone data plan because fucking the hotel, they couldn't fix the problem. So I'm using my cell phone data plan now.
Okay.
So hopefully it doesn't run out and I just cut out automatically when my data is gone.
Okay. Well, if it does, we'll know why.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cabin Boy, what were you saying?
Oh yeah, so I wasn't raised around that alcohol and that drug abuse, right? It just happened around like say the standoff area, that's where it's really bad. And what the big thing is now is that they're cracking down. There's an Oxy 80, and
A what?
what the Oxy 80? It's a
Oh, fentanyl.
fentanyl. Yeah, it's
You mean-
a
Oh
fake
yeah, that's
or imitation of fentanyl. And that stuff has been killing
Nice.
First Nations people just like that. And what I heard is that the Hells Angels brought it in. They didn't
yeah.
bring it into the
No.
reserve, but somebody
Government-
went out. They went out, say, I think to Calgary or Edmonton, got it, sent it into the reserve, started distributing or selling it, and people are just dying left and right. It's just
Oh
like,
yeah, it's killing so many.
It's here in the States.
Is it?
No, totally. Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's a rampant. It's an epidemic, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a lot of places. I know it's bad here, really bad. And we don't have a big population here, man. And there's people just dropping like flies around here.
Bad in New York too.
mhm. Oh, geez.
That's
Sad. Yeah, and
That's like a rising cause of death for white people in America because they're just checking out. They're trying to escape from reality. There's no culture for them anymore, and they're just trying to run away from everything because, I guess they'd rather be dead. So
They
it's
serve
like
no purpose.
no, it's if you're gonna kill yourself, yeah, go ahead, take the Oxy 80,. But I was just thinking, like, how come people just can't smoke weed? It's so, how come people just, have a few beer, but not where I'm from. Like, they say weed is a gateway drug to other drugs, and I was just like, no, I've been smoking weed since I was 15. I never wanted to try something else.
Hey,
You're strong-minded. You're much more strong-minded than those people.
yeah.
Well, I
Well-
see them every day. They're always strung out on some kind of drug, or they're drunk, or both. I just look at them thinking, "Geez, I'm so glad I'm not like that."
Yeah, I was. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
Nick, would you
No,
say
no,
that happens a lot in Cambodia too? A lot of people on ice over here.
Oh,
right?
We're in Cambodia for sure, no doubt. The ice and glue sniffing, that's a big problem.
What the fuck is ice?
Like meth.
Meth.
Oh, meth. Okay.
It's in like a crystal form.
They smoke it.
They smoke it. Yeah.
That's big here too, man.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was
we do
actually.
not have that in New
bad.
York.
Go ahead, Nick.
I'm sorry. We don't have a meth problem in New York because in order to make meth, you need to be you got to be away from. You have to be in a very sparsely populated location in order to make it.
Because of explosions or what?
Correct. Yeah, people will smell it and everything.
Yeah, right. Hey, I was gonna say, Cabin Boy. Speaking of ganja, how come? Can you start some kind of marijuana business on the reservation and be exempt from Canadian law?
You know what? There's another part. There's another reserve here. It's east of Calgary.
Mhm.
It's called the Siksika Nation, and they're thinking of growing it there, right? Because it's going to be legalized pretty soon, right? Here in Lethbridge.
In Alberta, yeah.
And they're thinking of starting like a growing up, legal growing up, because now like everybody's starting to realize, medicinal marijuana use is helping them with their arthritis, their diabetes, anything that is wrong with them, right? Their eyesight, and they're thinking, okay, well, if we start a clinic here on the reserve or on up there, then it might help, right?
Well, and they would be. Could they just do that today? Because you were saying, like, I mean, the federal government, and the police force have no authority on the First Nations land. So you essentially could do that now.
Probably, I would. It's right now on where I'm from, the reserve. It's done the black market way, right?
Mhm.
and they never thought of
Maybe because the Chiefs because they don't want the Chiefs to get in on it.
yeah. And yeah, I'm not too sure where I'm from, but when I heard about that in the Six of God Nation, I'm thinking, okay, well, I wonder what that's going to stir up, because the black market sellers are like, no, 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 I don't think I should deal that because the only way I could support my family is by selling weed, and stuff
Hmm.
like that. But I wouldn't know anything. Like I've never heard anything of it being legalized on the blood reserves yet.
So I guess you would still have to get over the local authorities on the reserve, which are like the reservation police force, or what is that?
Yeah, you probably have to. They have to know about it. The chief and council has to know about it. Pretty much everything.
Hmm.
Everybody has to know about it.
Hmm.
But
essentially, if they agreed to it, you could probably do it. You could probably grow it and distribute it on the reserve, and the federal government couldn't do fuck all.
no, but there's always somebody out there that's got their eye on you for that, right?
Yeah, right.
They'll probably come over and raid my house, or
Mm-hmm.
that's why I never really kept like expensive stuff like game system, big TV. I'm just thinking, yeah, because there's always somebody out there that wants to steal it,
Mm.
and especially like I used to be in boxing, right? I started back in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
I fought the amateur circuit for 10 years. Then I turned to pro. But when I was in the amateur circuit, everybody taught, oh, he's a boxer. He's a boxer. And there's always one or two people, Native people, that wanted to try me out. And I always tell them, no, yeah, I fight in the ring.
Yeah, I fight for sport.
Yeah, and they always want something to brag about, right? Oh, I beat up this boxer. And that's why I do. Like if you're doing good, there's always if you're doing really good on the blood reserve, there's always someone down there to pull you down, because they have nothing to lose.
We got nothing to lose.
And yeah.
Well, that's the thing with the First Nation community here. It's like you're right; they got nothing to lose because they just get everything handed to them.
Yeah, exactly.
And and there's no really incentive or drive for them to kind of create something for themselves.
Mm-hmm. No, it's just the way they were raised, Like I was saying earlier, if they see their mom not doing anything, but they see maybe like their friend's mom, who has a job and vehicle, stuff like that.
Now, let me ask you a question. Now, do you blame your people? Do you blame your own people for the state it's in? Or do you think it has to do with the government? Is it because of white oppression? What is it?
It stemmed from the government because they were the ones that put us on the reservation, right? And to date back,
very true. Yep.
In history, I think maybe in the early 1800s, maybe earlier or later, but reserve people, like the kids, were forced into residential schools, right? And this is from the Catholic and Anglican churches. They built the school. They go around taking every child, forcing them out of their homes into this reserve or the residential school. And they made a movie about it a long time ago. It's called Where the Spirit Lives. It's just like if you watch it, you'll probably just feel sorry for us or something. But anyways, their objective was just to strip the Indian out of them, right? They wanted to make us speak English. They wanted to dress, just like white people. They want nobody to talk the language or have any religious practices. They wanted to strip everything and build them up.
They did that in Australia too. Australia did the same thing.
Really?
Or New Zealand, one of those. Yeah, it's in that Hugh Jackman movie called Australia. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah, very similar. The Aboriginals in Australia, very similar situation to the First Nations here. And I touched upon that a while back in one of our talks when I was saying how the only reason why it didn't happen to a place like Indonesia where I lived, where the Dutch colonized, is because of the geography. They wanted the land.
Mhm.
They wanted your land. They didn't give a shit about anything else. They wanted your land. And then to take your land, they had to fucking take you away. They had to like make you assimilate. Places like the archipelagos in Indonesia, they didn't want the land. It was just a bunch of little fucking islands.
Mhm.
They wanted the resources. So they left the culture alone.
Mhm.
So it really, in my opinion, it's just came down to shitty luck on where you were living at the time.
Mhm.
And the people that the powers that be, they were coming over to find new land. You just happened to be on prime real estate, and they had the power to kick you off. It's
Pretty
shit.
much. That's it.
Yeah,
It's the way it works, man.
yeah.
Mhm.
But I got a question in here for Cabin Boy. A couple questions from people watching.
Mhm.
I'll address this one first. He says, "Can you talk about the language teachers deficit for First Nations languages, or the state of the language currently and the younger generation?"
Yeah. From like the elementary schools on the Blood Reserve, right? That's what they're trying to do is keep the language going, right? And where I was going to school in Cardston there, yeah, they had a Blackfoot teacher, but she wasn't that good. I have to be honest, right?
Okay.
And what I learned is just by observing, like when I was a kid, I'd watch my grandma and grandpa talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell what they're saying because like we use sign language while we're talking, right? If they're talking about like a story or something funny, they laugh, but they're always using their hands when they talk. And then after a while, I started to pick up on the language about when I was about 10 or 11, but I couldn't speak it fluently. I just said single words, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and then now, like I start to ask, like my mom, how do you say this word? How do you say that word? And she's like, oh, this is how.
Do you think
And
is it still? Do you think the language is still being kept up? I mean,
yeah, the older people, they're the ones that still have the language, right? And then they pass that on to their kids, and it's passed down to the younger generation. But it has to be like, say for instance, the natives that are on the street, they don't know nothing about the language. Maybe just I think I know more than
just like
them.
they can just say "okay, okay, nupi."
Yeah, yeah. Okinapi, that means hello, friend.
Yeah, sanitapi.
Yeah.
That's all they know. They know as much as I know,
Mhm.
which is like a dozen words.
I think, yeah. But like I said, the older ones, they're the ones that know like the language, and I guess it's changed now. Like they changed the words or the meaning of some word, right? But like I'm not around both my grandparents on both sides of the family. They passed on, and like my dad and my stepmom and my mom, they speak it too, right? Like in a full conversation.
This is Blackfoot, right?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
they call the language, Blackfoot. Yeah,
yeah.
this area.
Hmm. And I'm gonna say, yeah, and I'm pretty sure like the reserves or the school on the reserves, they're trying to stress that on the younger generation. So when they grow up about my age, they'll know how to speak it fluently, right? And
What
then
about your son? Is he learning it?
I don't really know.
Damn, you don't have that influence, eh? Fuck, that's
No. Uh-uh.
well. Hopefully,
Hmm.
I mean, because when I'm trying to remember to the past when I lived here before I left, so many years ago, and it seems to me that there's more, at least what I can observe in the city is there's more. There's like that big school, Kainai School, isn't there now?
Hmm.
So
Yeah, they got the high school there, and it was right next door to the old residential school that I think that was the Anglican church or the
Hmm.
Catholic church. They built that, but somebody went and burnt it down like 2 years ago. I think they're very distraught of what their experience from residential school was, right? And it got to them. They said, "Oh, let's go burn it down." Yeah,
A bunch of Indians burnt the church down.
or it must have been one person.
Okay.
When I was going to school, they never taught us anything about the residential schools. They
Oh, okay.
always talk about other countries, but even the Blackfoot teachers, they never taught us anything. They just said, "Oh, yeah, I went to boarding school." That's all they said. But now, like when I was doing an upgrading program a few years ago, that's when they started bringing it to life. And now university students are talking about it. College, Lethbridge College, I think they're still trying to bring light to it, right?
Mm.
And like so many of them are, and that's why you see a lot of them, the older ones that they're walking around the street, they're drunk. What I heard is that that's their way of trying to forget about it, right? If it's that bad, they have to drink all the time to forget about it.
Yeah, well, it gets to a point, I think, where once you're abusing alcohol on that level, it's no longer about forgetting about anything. Now it's just you're a dependency. It's an addiction. It's a serious hardcore addiction.
You know what else happens is it's kind of like what they call chasing the dragon with heroin. It's the same thing with any alcohol or anything. They're trying to get that same feeling that they got the first time. They're trying to chase after that, trying to achieve that again, but it never happens.
Yeah, I mean it's really kind of a cycle of addiction. It's really bad. I mean, the addiction in the First Nation community here is so bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's so out of control.
Oh, just like when I was a kid, I remember we could walk down the street without anybody like trying to bug us for money, or you don't see them all strung up. But now, like even walking to work, I'm like, jeez.
Oh yeah.
And then there's needles all over on the ground, and it was just like, holy cow, they're doing it's that bad where they have to shoot up, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really bad. It's a really sad state of affairs right now for the local First Nations around here. You know, there's a big difficulty with addiction, with alcohol and drugs. I mean, a lot of these guys. Cabin boy, I'll tell you a little story that happened to me. One guy that is a regular comes into the store.
Yeah.
One day I was walking by the park. I had to go to the mall for something. I was walking by the park, and there's an ambulance park, and here's this dude laid out like a regular customer in the store, laid out on the ground, unresponsive, with a bunch of EMTs standing over him, you know, trying to wake him up or revive him. And then I go to the mall, I come back, and as I'm walking back, they're loading him up onto a stretcher into the ambulance, and I thought, oh, he's dead, man. He's fucking dead, right? Who knows what he was on, or who knows what happened, right? And then the next day, around 1 o'clock, guess who comes strolling into the store?
Yeah.
Same guy, man.
He's probably just passed out, and he couldn't wake him up, you know.
It's like back from the dead.
Yeah, he just couldn't. Oh, I'm alive.
I give him a shot of adrenaline. They pull him out of the afterlife, and he comes in to buy some more booze.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, that was just a bad hangover.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I know, I
man.
see that too. I see that like around where I stay. You'll see a native guy passed out. And of course, you know, like somebody that's non-native, like, oh, he's dead. And I'm thinking, oh, he's passed out. He's nowhere to go to sleep right now. He had too much to drink. Just let him sleep. You're like, oh, how do you know? And it's like, the park where I live by, that's what I saw. I saw two of them, they're passed out next to each other. And then this woman, she's just like, I had to call the ambulance. Right? Or she was asking me, do I have a phone to call the ambulance? I said,
she thought they were dead?
Yeah, and then I looked over and I was laughing at them, and she looked at me really weird. And I said, watch. So I went and kicked one of them. And they just kind of looked up, and the sun shining in their eyes, are looking up. And I said, "See, look, he's still alive." I said, "Are you guys sleeping?" They're like, "Yeah, yeah." And he just sleeps. And I said, "Watch, about 10 minutes or maybe a half hour later, they're gone." That's all they did. They slept, you know.
They just needed to kind of get that little nap in the middle of the park. Sometimes in the middle of the sidewalk.
Yeah, that's God.
Well, it's funny to tell these stories, but it's kind of sad, that this is going on. Someone else mentioned, actually, it was the same. MGTOW said in the comments about the dialects. How do they deal with the different dialects? But it's basically where we are. It's the Blood or the Blackfoot, and their dialect is taught in this general area.
Mm-hmm.
If you go out to British Columbia or you go out to the east, the dialects are taught in their area, right, in the school systems. I mean, I think it's a lot better now for teaching the language in the schools than it was before. That's just my opinion.
Oh yeah, yeah, and like for here in Lethbridge, schools off the reserve, they should. I'm pretty sure they do have someone that teach Native kids Blackfoot, but also non-natives as well. My auntie used to teach Native American studies at the university, and she just said, "No, my class is for anybody. It's not just for First Nations people. Anybody can come in." And I hung out in her classroom, right? And no kidding, there was probably about 3 natives in there, and the rest were white people, some from other countries,
Really?
And I don't know if she teaches still, but she had she would teach like the history of our people and the history of the other tribes.
And the white people were more interested?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because people that don't know, that's what they get scared of, right? They don't know about if this Native person is going to kill them or talk to them or anything like that. And I think that's kind of bridging that gap between us now, right? If everybody knew our history and the way we used to live, maybe that will everyone will get along so well, because I see it too, like the racism to that part, and it's sad. And that's all I think about. Like, if say a white guy calls down Native people, say on Facebook, and it's just this big racism storm and whatnot. But I'm just thinking, well, it doesn't make me mad. It just, to me, I think that guy doesn't have any knowledge about us, right?
Well, he probably only knows, he only knows what he sees on the street.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
And like some people that come up to me at my work, they're like, "Oh, do you like your job?" And I'm just like, "Well, it's a job. It pays for everything." And I'm straight up honest with some of them. Like, I'd rather work here off the reserve than in standoff or anywhere, because it's. And they're like, "Oh, I know what you're talking about," And there's times where I go into a store and there's a drunk Native walks in and he starts bugging people, and that's what really bugs me too. I'll go up to that Native person and say, "You get the hell out of here. You have no business doing that. You look pitiful."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, you're just a white person. You're just a white person." I said, "No, no."
What do they call hey Nick, what do they call the blacks that what do the black people call other blacks that favor the whites? Uncle Toms or something?
Uncle Tom or Uncle Ruckus is another one.
Well, okay, what's the native name for that? Cabin boy.
It's called, they call us apples.
Apples.
Red on the outside, white on the inside.
So you're an apple.
Funny.
Yeah, I've been called
an apple.
Yeah, I've been called an apple in high school and junior high, but they say it in Blackfoot.
Why? Because you act civilized? Is that what the deal is?
Yeah. I go to class. I go to school
love
every day. And then the other Native kids that pick on me, right? That's another thing I'll talk about is when I was going to school, like my last name is not a typical Native last name, right? And
Mm.
the Native kids, like to me, what I call it is reverse discrimination. The Native kids always picked on me because I was so good. The teacher favored me more than them. And these kids came from the poor parts of the reserve. And it got so bad they're like, "Oh, you're just an apple, Kevin. You act like these white people." It's just like, and they start picking on me, right? And then I start to fight back afterwards, and because I had to tell my dad I'm getting picked on constantly at school, and they said, "Well, go tell the teacher." Okay, told the teacher, you know, and they say, "Okay, well, sit. We'll put you somewhere else, right?" And they sat me next to like all the Mormon kids, right? Because and the Mormon kids had no problem helping me out with my schoolwork, right? If I had trouble in math or whatnot, they would help me out, but they wouldn't help out the other Native kids that were picking on me, right? And that's when the Native kids saw that, they're like, "Oh, he's just a white person."
That's fuel for the fire, man.
Like, it is, and like when I got into junior high, right, I was still getting picked on. There's always somebody messing around with me, and it got to me, right? And I didn't know how to fight at the time, right? So I got into taekwondo and whatnot. And the taekwondo teacher, I told him about it. Said I get picked on by Native kids, not the Mormon kids. They were very nice to me. So he said,
So
"Well,
you went
I'm
into
gonna."
Taekwondo, you told your instructor, Sensei, I want to learn Taekwondo so I can beat up Indians.
That's yeah, basically. But I couldn't do that, right? I couldn't go up to him and say, "Yeah, I know taekwondo and kick your ass." I'll get beat up by maybe 2 or 3 of them. But anyways, yeah, some of them started to back off, right? Because I called them down, and I forgot who it was. They told me, "Dress like them. You don't. Looks like that kid hasn't bathed in 2 days, but look at you. You're dressed nice. You don't wear the same clothes for days." Like, oh, okay, so maybe I'll use that. And that, like, I thought that would make them back off, but it got worse when I was saying, "Oh, you know what? At least I don't live in Moses Lake and have to be around alcohol, drinking, and I know how to bath. I know how to shower. I know how to take care of myself."
Wow.
And the one kid, he kind of just put his head down. He started crying, right? And the one kid I told, he said, "You know what? Fuck you. I'm going to meet you after school. I'm going to kick your ass." And like after, like when it started, like in high school, that's when it stopped. Like no one picked on me.
Well, that's just the way it goes around the world, man. I mean, in middle school, you're always picked on, abused, and lines are drawn when you're in middle school. You're either a loser or you're with the popular kids. It kind of just happens when you're 13, 14 years old.
Yeah, and I like when I got into boxing, right? It kind of got into my head because like I was so good. And when I got into the amateur competition, I was knocking people out. And the one time, like I won a fight in Calgary, I came back down home, and my coach said, "Oh, what are you gonna do tonight?" And I said, "Well, I'll probably have a few beers and celebrate." He said, "Well, you better take it easy. Don't get crazy." But that's what I did. I went and got drunk, went to the bar, saw this one kid that used to pick on me, and I went up to him. "Well, how you doing?" And he's trying to be all nice to me. Like, "Hey, I haven't seen you in years. I'll buy you a beer." Sure, yeah. But I was drinking rum and coke, right? So I was just thinking, oh. And I forgot what he said to me, but it just set me off. I just ripped into him.
So basically, I mean, sorry to interrupt, but like this, again, this is a lot of this experience you're talking about. Just to be clear for the listeners here, is a lot to do with your experience, kind of on the outside of that circle when it came to the First Nations community here. Because, like, I don't know how well both Nick and Expat know about these communities, and I don't know how similar it might be down there in New York State or other states in the U.S., but like the situation in a lot of these reservations are pretty horrible, man. Like objectively, they're not the best places to hang out and sort of grow up, and so a lot of the stuff that Cabin Boy saying is you were trying to get away from that shit, right?
Oh yeah.
And by doing that, you were sort of pushed out of the community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was pushed out because, like, it started when I was a kid. The way I was raised, to like not really learning the cultural way, you know.
Mm.
For me, like, I just learned just like everybody else that goes to school, right? Not to like be held out of school or stuff like that. What the thing is that like I said before, the nepotism on the reserve, like why I don't live on the reserve, it's to me, it's the economy of the reserve. It's very poor. That's how I see it. Like I just feel.
Well, let me make a comparison there, because you mentioned earlier, and this has come up now a couple times, is the nepotism. You keep mentioning that, so it's got to be something pretty kind of deep that you've experienced there on the reservation. And I've heard a comparison. I've heard the comparison made before, not just to the blood reserve here, the big blood reserve here, but to other reservations in Canada and North America. I've had the comparison where they've compared First Nation reservations to like third world countries.
Oh yeah.
Within a first world country. You see?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because like if you had the chance to drive through Standoff, that's how it looks like. These houses, they're boarded up. You got these drunk people hanging out in front of them or sleeping in them, you know, and like it's just gross. Even the roads as well. They're not
horrible infrastructure. What about running water? There's places that don't have fucking running water.
They have running water, but to me, what I've heard, it's contaminated somehow.
Oh, there you go. Like, you got contaminated water or no water at all.
And that's why I don't like driving in or around Standoff, because that's how it is. And then you got the younger generation trying to act like a gangster, you know, like your pants hanging off their ass.
Nice. So you got jigaboo culture.
Oh yeah, man.
You got those kind of. They say, "Oh, I'm from the hood. I'm from the hood."
How did that happen? Oh my God!
You know what?
I don't know, Nick.
It's all from like the movies, like these.
Got Native Americans acting. Oh my God!
Yeah, man. I'm not kidding you. They're acting like the hats on, the pants pulled down. It's fucked up, man.
Yeah, pants on. Wearing all their. Yeah, like that really bugs me. Like I never.
Good Gucci Playboy. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking, you guys they've been exposed to, you know, like to me, they don't express their true selves, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to act like I'm like a black person. That's how we put it. We say, oh, he's just trying to act like a black person. He's not expressing himself totally, you know. And he's influenced by the music and the movies that come out of from, say, Compton or whatnot.
Yeah, man.
They say, oh, that's cool. I want to act like Dr. Dre or Snoop Dogg. That'd be so cool, man.
Yeah, the natives here. A lot of the natives here are they act more black than the black people here.
Exactly. Yeah. Some of them say, "Oh, I think I was black in my past life."
I was oppressed in my past life too.
Yeah, and there's people that they act like they're black, or like you don't see a native person try and go around acting Chinese or stuff. That look pretty silly, you know. And trying to act black, that's another thing. You're just like, oh my God, really?
Well, you know, I was gonna say, Cabin Boy, when I made that comparison of the reservations to like a third world country.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed about living in Indonesia for so many years is that within the even the very high levels of government and infrastructure in that third world country, nepotism was big, even today. So there's something there's a link, I think, between kind of poverty
Mhm.
and nepotism. There's a link there.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
really-
of course, yeah. Because, like I said, the person that's really qualified for a job, they'll turn them down. They say, "Nope, job's been."
No, it's for my cousin.
Yeah, it's my cousin.
My cousin's
My
job.
cousin. Yeah, he got it. You know? Oh,
For those of you who don't know, that's a Blackfoot accent.
that's the accent. Yeah,
It's the Blackfoot accent.
their S's sound like S's.
My cousin.
And cousin, yeah, and we always make a joke about it. All these natives that are, come from the poor parts, they always end their words with an S. Like, "Hey, hurry up! The school bus is coming." What?
The school bus is coming.
Oh, yeah. So like the third world conditions, it's rampant in those poor areas of the reserve, right?
Mhm. Okay, well, imagine
And-
this, listeners. Imagine this. We are here in North America, Canada, United States. It is the epitome of first world. And then you drive 10 kilometers in one direction, and suddenly it's like you're in some kind of developed country where all these people are living in disheveled houses, roads that you can barely drive on, sometimes no running water, sometimes there's running water, but it's contaminated. That's the situation that a lot of these First Nations are living on in these reservations here. And the one thing I wanted to bring up, and I think it might have come up here as well, but where was it? Okay, we're talking about First Nation assemblies and how they negotiate with the Canadian federal government. I want to ask you this, Cabin Boy: is there high level corruption among the assembly and the chiefs?
Oh, I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is.
Is it true that they live in like these fucking $1 million houses while everybody else is impoverished?
Oh yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. Like, especially there's stuff that's said about our chief and council, right?
Mm-hmm.
They pretty much take a vacation, and they call it a business trip. You know, like, oh,
Just
I'm
like
seeing
real
that-
politicians. Just like real politicians.
Yeah, yeah, and like to me, I'm just like, oh, and then this was brought up a few years ago about the yearly income of the chief and council, right? They take so much money to go on these business trips, right? But it's just for R&R. That's all they're doing, right? And then they come back. They don't actually deal with the all the stuff that's going on the reserve, right?
Yeah, there's stuff that they've been elected to
And-
take care of.
Yeah, and there's maybe 2 or 3 that do,
Mhm.
but they don't do it. And actually, there was a cousin of mine. He was on a 4-year term on tribal council, and he couldn't take it. He
Really?
said there's everybody has a problem. And when I went out to the bar, he was always there every time I went, right? And he's just flushing out cash to everybody. He's like, yeah, I'm a tribe counselor. And then he talked to me about it. He'd be like, hey, I really don't like this. It's too stressful. And I said, well, was that your wish to get on tribal council to help people? Well, you got to be careful with what you wish for. You might get it. You better be careful what you wish for. You might regret it. That's the type of mentality I see in that, right?
So, so this cousin of yours, you were saying had a lot of money from that position?
Yeah, he had a lot of money. He, I think he graduated from the university,
Mhm.
But the way I see it, he just went on tribal council just to live La Vida Loca,
Yeah, to live the high life, right?
live the high life all these women, you know,
Tons of
and
cash.
tons of cash, nothing to worry about. But then after a while, you start to realize, oh, maybe I made the wrong decision because this is not what I signed up for. And it's like, well, yeah, you're on tribal council. You have to help the people. You can't just help yourself, you know, because you can look down upon if you do that stuff, right? And I hear it all the time. Oh, this person did that. This person did that. Just because to get on tribal council, he just wants to take weekly trips to
Well, that's the
somewhere.
reputation now, right? I mean, the reputation is
Yeah.
if you're on tribal council, you're just in it to kind of for the easy money, and you're not even doing a job.
No.
But I mean,
And,
okay, I've heard
like,
this. I've heard this before. I've heard that like a lot of these tribal council men and women, they're given. I don't know how it functions, but I've heard that they're given a lump sum of money from the federal government,
yeah.
and that's supposed to be divvied out and used to maintain the reservation, right? Everything, the infrastructure, everything on. Is that correct?
Yeah. But
Now, but they take it and keep it, and then the rest of the reservation just kind of goes to shit. Is that kind of what's happening?
that's what was happening before. I don't know about now. Like maybe these new elected chief and council are actually doing something. Because, like I was just thinking, okay, well, we just got that distribution of $200 because we don't own any land, right? And they said it's from chief and council, right? And then I heard something about like if you ever north end of the reserve, there you got all those oil wells, right? They're pumping, I don't know how much oil out of the ground, and like how come we don't see that money, right?
Oil on reservation land.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. And you're not seeing
And-
any of that money.
You know, they put a oil rig out just north of Cardston a few years ago, and people were protesting against that. Right? No, we don't want you doing that because you're going to be, you know, hurting the land. We don't want that happening. But of course, it happened. You know, and like, okay, well, if you guys going to put a oil and you guys find oil, we should be getting it. You know.
Okay, someone just made a comment that it belongs to Crown, but I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
I don't think Crown has the same kind of authority over reservation land as it does the rest of the country.
Mm-hmm.
So if oil is found on First Nations land, you own that oil, or how does that work? I mean, they must make a deal with the council.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that will happen, and like that's the way I see it. If the oil was found, it should go to the people, not chief and council. You know, and
It's so funny. You guys got these little chief council. You have elections. You're basically imitating Papa government, Canada government. It's just the same corruption. Now you got your own little corrupt little democratic community.
And like when I studied the history of our people, it wasn't like that. That's like when we were hunting bison and living in teepees. It wasn't like that. Everybody would gather, right? And they would say, okay, who wants to vote for this person, you know, to be our chief because he knows how to hunt, he knows how to go to war, you know. And say if these people were chosen to be on the chief and council, then they would all, like, say if there's an issue around the tribe, right? They would all sit in the center teepee in a circle, right?
Yeah.
And they said, okay, well, each of you have a permission to speak, and it doesn't work that way anymore. Well,
No, it doesn't. Yeah,
No.
and it's I've personally been able to witness a little bit of that part of the First Nation community, kind of how they sort of govern themselves in a traditional way.
Yeah.
And it seems a hell of a lot better.
I
It
know.
seems a lot more productive.
Simple. Yeah, more simpler, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But those ways are gone.
Oh yeah,
like way out.
long gone.
And yeah, And that's the way I see the chief and councils. That they're just there to better life than they did before, because of the money, and they don't care about the issues of the native people, because they're
No.
struggling,
No.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm off the reserve. Like I laugh when I hear about, they're trying to start new jobs on the reserve for the youth. It's just like, I don't know how long that's going to last.
Oh, hey, hold on. It looks like Expat dropped out. I wonder if he ran out of his phone
Data.
Might have, or he might have just got tired. He's what, 14 hours ahead of us.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So,
Oh, I guess it's noon. It's noon there. What am I talking about? Yeah,
Oh,
maybe he's out for lunch. You
Oh,
still there, Nick?
Still here.
Right on, man. Thanks for coming on here.
No worries.
like for instance, like if another native person, First Nations from the Blood Reserve, talking to me this way, he would totally disagree. Like, oh no, it's not all about nepotism, favoritism in the reserve. Yeah.
Denial.
Mm-hmm. And like, you heard of the Idle No More movement, right?
What?
The Idle No More movement that happened when was that? Back in 2013?
No, I wasn't here. What was that?
Oh, okay. Well, apparently Stephen Harper,
Who, by the way, was the Prime Minister of Canada before the illegitimate bastard child of Fidel Castro, who is now our Prime Minister. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. So Stephen Harper, of course, well, to me, he didn't address the nation about this issue, but somebody must have overheard him say that he was going to start taking Indian rights away from every tribe in Canada, right? And all these natives got together and started to like go to Ottawa to protest against it. They called it Idle No More.
Whoa.
So I was
Was that before? Was that like quite early or close before the federal elections? Like when Trudeau got in?
I think it happened. It happened before he got in, and
Right before.
Stephen
Yeah. Okay. I think I heard a little bit.
Yeah, Stephen Harper was on his third year or something. I forgot what it was, but they all went to Ottawa to protest against it. And to me, I was just like thinking, you know what? I have better things to do than to like. They started doing all these flash mobs and walking around and saying, "Stop Stephen Harper from doing that." And I I was on Facebook at the time, and I was totally against it because people are sending petitions to get rid of Harper, right? And it's just like,
it's all manipulation.
Yeah,
it's all emotional manipulation. Look, somebody was mentioning here about saying like this is along the lines of what you're saying, where they're I think they're manipulating the First Nations community.
Yeah,
in a lot of the sense.
Because I never seen on TV or Stephen Harper on TV saying, "Okay, I'm taking all the rights away from the First Nations." And
of course he didn't.
And I was just thinking, yeah, he never did that,
No.
But what he did do is that he apologized to every reserve in Canada about residential schools. And if you ever did the research, none of the other past prime ministers did that.
No, they didn't.
They didn't say, "Oh, like you guys went through so much. We're so sorry for that." And he was the first one to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
well, now look what they're doing with Trump. They're trying to say that Trump wants to kill all Mexicans.
I hate Trump.
Well, this is the thing, though. They're doing the same thing. Like Trump doesn't want to kill all. He just wants to fucking get rid of illegal immigrants. He just wants to make the laws better when it comes to immigration, right?
Yeah.
But that's not what they're saying in the media. They're saying he hates all Mexicans.
Oh,
that's what they did to Harper.
Yeah.
I would get rid of most of them. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, but
Awesome. Dear God, I wish that'd be a wet dream.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Oh, fuck. Bottom.
Like,
is there a lot? Hey, did you know it was Mexico's independence just this yesterday and today?
was it?
Yeah, it was Mexico's independence, man. There's a bunch of Mexicans here in town. They're like, well, yeah, it's Mexico's independence. We're going to have a party.
Maybe I should go join. I'll fit right in.
There was, I saw flags up here, man. Nick, there's Mexicans up here in chilly southern Alberta.
Oh, yeah, I went in. They're everywhere, man. They're everywhere.
Like, what the fuck are you doing up here? Wouldn't you rather be in Mexico?
What's wrong? You love globalization. Well, you want more of them.
Mhm.
Bring more. Have one in your closet.
I want to show my strength for diversity by having a Mexican in my closet.
They are so short, man. They are a very short group of people. One, I can spot one now for sure out of the rest of people from Central America because they're just the shortest out of all of them.
There are a lot of Mexicans in New York.
They're much smaller than Cambodians. That's for damn sure. I don't understand why people think people from Southeast Asia are small. Cambodians are pretty damn big. I mean, they're bigger than Thais and Vietnamese for sure.
Oh yeah.
But Mexicans are just, man, they're just little people.
I just got to quickly use the washroom. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Yeah, thanks for coming on, Nick. I wanted to really give Cabin Boy a bit of a platform here.
Yeah, talking about his life story.
Yeah, I mean, he's the whole issue with the reservations and native stuff here is interesting, and it's nice to get a First Nations perspective.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I never really spoken to a Native American. He sounds like, stereotypical, I want to say, of what I would want to, speaking to someone from that culture. He sounds like it. He sounds like Tonto.
Yeah, man. Oh yeah, yeah. There's a big community here, right? Because like you said, that he's the blood reserve, the blood Indians here, and the Blackfeet. Their reserve is the biggest in Canada. Like it's huge. It's like this giant piece of land that someone pulled out of fucking, West Africa and dumped in Canada. I mean, that's how shitty it is on the land there.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've heard stories. I've never heard anything really positive come out of a reservation.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back.
All right.
All
Hey,
right.
there's a couple more things that I'm just going through the chat here, Cabin. I don't know if you know anything about the topics. I'll just bring them up and you can comment. Okay. Here's one. What's your opinion on colonial trauma? The concept being pushed by the CBC.
Colonial trauma.
No, I don't. He says it's being pushed by the CBC, which is the Canadian
Broadcasting Corporation.
Yeah, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. It's like the equivalent of the BBC or the ABC.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But I don't know, like colonial trauma, and the way that I see this is like, do you personally feel any kind of connection to like, oh, I feel bad because the Europeans that came over, they hurt my people. Is there any trauma in that for you?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like for instance, like the language is being lost. The cultural way of like our people are lost because there's very few of them that know those ways, right? And like year by year, it just feels like that cultural and spiritual aspects are dying year by year.
That's
right?
globally. That's not just your people.
Yeah, it's everywhere, man.
But yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah, like,
and it's not just that, but like I believe that I think a lot of the popular media these days is using that sort of like that collective guilt and that colonial trauma to manipulate a lot of these minority groups and these populations, like the First Nations. Yeah. I mean, the shit that happened. When was that? Like 200 years ago?
Oh, I mean like the residential school or?
Well, yeah. I mean, when all that stuff started happening over the last couple hundred years, right?
Yeah.
The reality is that anybody that was born in this country
Mhm.
of descendant from Europeans had nothing to do with that shit that went down.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And they're trying to
Yeah.
kind of force this collective guilt on people that just were born here, and they didn't choose to be born here.
Mhm.
You know what I
No.
mean?
Yeah.
Do you see that there's that kind of emotional manipulation going on?
Not really. No. What I do see is just like the colonial thing. I'm not really sure about that. You know, yeah, that's kind of like I don't know what to say about that part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're right. The reality is the language is lost. A lot of the culture is
Mhm.
lost.
Yeah.
And I think the situation has played a big part in a lot of the negative aspects that are coming out of the communities today. A lot of
Mhm.
the alcohol abuse, the drug abuse.
And now people, or this actually happened when I was in junior high. Now that they start to form gangs like the Bloods and Crips, like those, like people used to be scared and imitated by them, but now they just laugh at them. They're like, "Oh, you're just a pussy." And I had a cousin that worked at the the jail here, right? And he was laughing, and I told him, "What are you laughing about? You see all those natives out there that trying to act gangster and stuff?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." So you know what happens to them when they get thrown in jail? What's that? They become somebody's girlfriend. Really?
Oh,
Because you know they're not expressing themselves, right?
so they're getting fucking raped
To me,
in
they're
prison.
getting raped in jail, right? And then when they come out of jail, they don't act that way, or you know,
Hmm.
it kind of to me it's how would you say it? Yeah, they get raped in jail for acting like you know not expressing their true self,
Acting like
and then
gangsters.
yeah, and because you know like gangs they're more strong when they're all together, but when you single one person out, right? Say this one gangster does something stupid, gets thrown in jail, and then you got all these what do you call it, these inmates are like, oh hey, let's check him out. You know, the new guy. Look at him, he's acting all gangster.
Okay.
All right, who's gonna you know, and to me that just I'm just thinking, well, good for him. Make sure that he doesn't act that way, you know.
Hmm.
His skin. If he comes out of jail, he has to rediscover himself, you know.
Okay. Well, this actually kind of leads into what someone else has been asking me in the chats, and it's about sexual abuse.
Yeah.
Because you have to remember, my channel is a MGTOW channel, so it deals a lot with men, right?
Yeah.
And one of the topics that comes up is a lot that we discuss within MGTOW communities is sexual abuse of boys and men, and
Mm-hmm.
how again that doesn't warrant any attention either, but it happens.
Yeah. It happens. Yeah, it happened in residential school too with the priests bringing the little
Perfect.
boys in, right? Because they never got a piece of ass. They thought, oh, okay, well, I'll take just one of these young boys here, you know, and lure them into that. And a lot of what's now it's happening is a lot of the gays and lesbians, or what I call genderly confused people on the reserve, right? You got a lot of guys that act like girls and girls that act like guys, right?
I've
And they're
seen
proud
that.
of it.
Yeah.
They're proud of it. And it's just like, and to me, like I look down on that too. I'm like, that's not our that's not our ways, you know, the native ways. We're not supposed to act like that, you know. But still they just come out and they're so proud of it. And you're like, what the hell? And we always say, uh, like we call our God the creator, right?
Hmm.
Like what I always say is like if the creator wanted you to be a girl, he would have made you a girl, or the other way around, right? But not.
So there's
Go
okay.
ahead.
So there's a lot of gender dysphoria on the reserves as well. Like
Yeah,
we're seeing,
Because of that sexual abuse that happened in residential schools, right?
There you go. Now, sexual abuse is a lot. Again, sexual abuse is tied into a lot of gender dysphoria and confusion, sexual confusion. So, but if these kids today that are, you know, maybe in their teens, early 20s, that are walking around, because I've seen them too, a lot of these Native girls walking around, and the two girls together, like, what the fuck? These could you look more like try to look more like and behave like a man, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And vice versa. These kids weren't abused in these Catholic schools.
No,
these are like third, fourth, fifth generation down the line.
Yeah.
So where is it coming from them? Are they being abused on the reserves? Are they being abused by parents? Are they being abused by family members?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're abused by both, you know, and they're too scared to say anything, right? And that leads to like suicide, drug use, and
Absolutely.
alcoholism, right? And just the same way as the ones that got sexually abused in residential school, they can't really say anything, you know. They want to drink so much to get it off their mind, right? And
well, I want to put it into this perspective, and I think Nick would probably agree with me and say that this is happening everywhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But the perspective I want to put it in is that you have to understand that the First Nation community here is a small percentage, okay, of the overall population. Yet, premature death, suicide, gender dysphoria, alcohol and drug abuse is more prevalent in that small community.
Yeah.
Like it's got some serious issues. Now, and I have to say this, Cabin Boy, that maybe it's something you haven't considered, but again, this is relative to my channel, is that a lot of these problems, and which a lot of people within the MGTOW community and men's community have come to realize, a lot of these problems stem from single motherhood and a lack of a father figure. We have children on the reservation growing up without a solid father figure, a single mother, and it creates a lot of these problems. What's your opinion on that?
Well, it's just like I said before, it's the money part too, right? If the mom knows, if she has, the more kids she has, right, the more money she's going to get. Okay. And
it encourages single motherhood.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're like, take care of your kids, you know.
It encourages it. It encourages a lot of these First Nation women to just go, fuck, he doesn't need a dad.
Yeah, exactly. You know?
I get all this money from him and from the government, and then this kid grows up without a father, and it leads to a lot of these problems.
Yeah.
Now, this along those same lines, they're asking this question, and maybe, I don't know, maybe you have some knowledge of this. Within the First Nations community, like either on the reservation or within the community in the city that you know of, is there a lot of paternity fraud? For example, women saying they're having a baby from a guy when it's not actually his baby. Is that going on?
Oh, of course, yeah. It's just like the Maury show, right? The difference is that they're not going on television to do it. They're just doing it, you know, under the lights, or not under the lights, but
behind closed doors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and yeah, there is a lot of that happening, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's the father," and they're
he's
saying,
not.
"Oh, test results show that he is not the father," you know. And like me and my cousin, we joke about that all the time, right? And the thing is like on a serious note, they're like, "Oh well, maybe she doesn't know the father of this kid because she got so drunk and got pregnant, didn't remember who she was with, right?"
Well, and she probably has so many damn partners.
Yeah,
you probably can't nail it down to one guy.
Yeah,
you know,
they don't remember it because they got so drunk.
Well, that's what I see as sort of just this constant, never-ending loop of a problem. Is
Yeah.
what happens is you have these children
Mm-hmm.
who are raised by a single mother who usually in that situation teaches a child horrible examples of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
There's no father figure for discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And that single mother probably came from a family where she had no father.
Yeah,
And the
exactly.
cycle continues. It continues. And then that
Mhm.
her daughter will grow up without a father. She won't know how to form
Mhm.
strong relationships with a male. She'll probably
Mhm.
sleep with every guy on the reservation,
Mm-hmm.
get pregnant, not know who the dad is, and then the cycle continues again.
It's just a terrible trait to pass on to your kids, right? If you don't know the essence of work, education, you know, and like I said before, I was raised different, not to depend on the government to give me money every month, but to work, you
Mhm.
know, and like once you graduate high school, that's a stepping stone right there. You could go, you could go to college or go to school, but a lot of
Learn a trade.
yeah, trade, anything. But a
Mm.
lot of there's some families on the Blood Reserve that are heavily into rodeo, right?
The rodeo.
Rodeo, yeah, and it's a strong connection between animals and humans, right? Just like
Mhm.
my ancestors have, like they had strong ties with their horses. Uh, they had strong ties with bison, the small game like antelope and deer, everything. And what we believe is that all animals are sacred on Earth, right? They all have their purpose. You know, for instance, the bison, they they gave us everything, right? Our homes, food, clothing. Uh, the horses were the ones that we rode on to get to that point, right? And
Well, the bison were particularly important here in on the prairies, right?
oh yeah, yeah,
Huge
yeah.
for the Blackfoot and the blood
Mhm.
natives here.
Yeah, and like now, like in today's world, we can't hunt the bison, right? It's probably a crime for us to hunt them.
Unless he wanders into your reserve.
Yeah, oh yeah, maybe. But like nowadays, what I heard is that Walmart is our new bison because we get everything from there: our food, our clothing, what else, our personal hygiene products, and everything
True.
from beds to electronics.
Walmart is the new bison.
Yeah, that's what everybody's saying now. And if you go to Walmart here in Lethbridge, yeah, that's all you'll see is a bunch of
Bunch
native.
of Indians in Walmart.
Yeah,
Holy shit. Well, hey, the the horses you rode, Europeans brought them over,
Mhm.
man.
Yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
guys killed them all.
Uh,
You guys killed all your horses.
I don't know about killing our horse.
No, you hunted them to extinction on the North American continent, man. That's why there were none. And then the Spanish brought them over, and you guys are like, hey, we can ride these.
We could ride these, yeah. And they just lived off the land just as much as we did, right?
Mhm.
They need water to drink. They need to, eat and breed, stuff like that.
Well, the Indians are good at breeding, man.
Oh, they're phenomenal.
That's incredible. They're just popping kids out. I'm surprised they're not a majority population yet.
Mm-mm. No, but that's what I was taught to do. Like when I was young, everybody, like my siblings and relatives, always told me, "Don't get married."
Good advice. Good advice.
When they say married, that means you're living with the person. You're not actually legal married
Yeah, common
to the
law.
person. Yeah, you're just
Don't live with
for
a
the
chick.
Yeah.
That's MGTOW 101, my friend. Welcome to that's the first step to the red pill. Do not live
Oh yeah.
with a chick.
with a woman unless you truly love her and you'll do anything for her. But like, there's very few Native couples nowadays that are still together after what 20 years, you know.
Mhm.
And that's why, like, I made a promise to myself never to date a Native woman because of that, you know.
Want to go white?
They want, yeah, have kids, like bunch of kids, and this is like, no, that's not me. I've seen some of my friends that have a lot of kids, and they hate their life. I was just like, what? No, it's her. She wants to have kids. It's like, no, I was taught differently, not to be that married life, you know. That
I had somebody here saying, I heard in the comments, I heard First Nation girls up north were super aggressive sexually. Is that true?
I don't know. Maybe I should go find out. Maybe I'm gonna take one for the team, but like up north, like what do you talk about, like Edmonton or?
I don't know where he's talking specifically when he says up north. So, but I mean, north from us would be Edmonton, yeah.
Because when we say up north, we're thinking about the Cree natives, right?
The Crees, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
your mortal enemies.
yes, some of them. Oh my God, they're still mad about the battle that we got into a long time ago. You know why they call it Indian Battle Park, right?
Yeah, because you guys killed each other down there.
Yeah, and there was one smart Native person. He was on the high point. It's actually still there by the university, right? This one warrior, he'd go on the high point of the hill there, and he'd see the Crees coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well they're coming, and what they're coming for is the land and the water.
Just like the white guys.
Yeah. We went to battle with them. We killed them, and we make a joke about it. The reason why we won is because the Cree natives, they can't shoot straight. You know, they're pointing their arrow at us, and next thing it just goes by our head. You're like, oh God, now it's my time, you know, to kill them. And that's what my dad told me when he used to go around partying, being wild, right? When he was young, when they bumped into Cree natives here in Lethbridge or in Calgary, of course, that they would all look at each other mean, and you could just tell. Well, it's like we all have a certain look to us, Native men and women. Like we could just tell the difference, right?
So if you were up, let's say, if you were up in Calgary, Edmonton, and you walked into a restaurant or a bar, you would know who was Cree just by looking at them.
Well, yeah, because they're a lot shorter than us, right?
Yeah, the Blackfoot are pretty tall. Blood are pretty tall.
Yeah. And the women, they wear a lot of makeup. The men, they kind of, how would I say how they dress? Short, right? And they have an accent too. And I'm just like, oh yeah, they're Cree. Let's you know, if they do anything, we're gonna go after them. But yeah, that's what, like in my dad's era, that's what they always do. They'd always butt heads with the Cree natives because of that, you know.
Yeah, those old rivals die hard, man. When the fuck was that battle, man? Like, how many hundreds? When was that?
I think there's a what would you call it, a cepitaph, or like a kind of like a.
Well, there's got to be information on it, but I mean, are we talking like 300 years ago here, or
something like that?
100?
Yeah. There's
just wait for the listeners. He's talking about this area just to the west of where we are now, which is called Indian Battle Park. Or if you want to be up to date, you can call it First Nations Battle Park.
Yeah.
But it's basically a historic site where the Cree from the north had a giant battle with the Blood here in the south, and the Blood won. You know, just because they had tribal rivalries here. So there's this huge battle, and you know, so that it was a huge place for like historical reference, and they're digging up arrowheads and stuff, you know, right? And so it's a park, and there's a little fort there. It's a nice little historic area. But these Cree and these Blood, they still hate each other, man. 300 years later,
Yeah.
still.
And I dated a Cree woman from up north. And when my mom heard about it, she's like, I don't think that's a good idea, Kevin. I was like, why? Like, she's like, well, you know, like about the history. And I was working on the oil rigs at the time. So I went up, the oil rig was by Grand Prairie, well, kind of close to Grand Prairie, right?
Wait, you worked on an oil rig? Talk about that. That's interesting.
I know, right?
Okay, go ahead. Talk about it.
So I worked on this oil rig, right? And there was a Cree guy on there, but he was super nice, right? Once I told him I was from the Blood Reserve, he was just like, "Oh, really cool," but he probably didn't know the history. And him and I kind of like watched out for each other. He told me, "Oh, be careful around these rednecks. You know, some of them are racist, some of them are, you know, kind of mean." I was like, "Okay." He said, "Well, if you have any problems, just tell me." But no, I'll be all right. Okay, so like when I worked on the oil rigs, it's to me, I just didn't agree with it because it's just like stabbing somebody that you love so much. And when I put it in that way, you know, like the white men are drilling for oil, you know.
So you didn't like the experience?
No, it just didn't sit well with me, you know. I was just thinking, you guys are hurting Mother Earth and like all the creatures and where all the animals around there, you know.
So you got all environmental when you were up there.
I was, yeah, but I didn't protest or anything. I just I didn't like to drive up there. I didn't like it was okay, like the pay was all right, you know.
Fuck, the pay is fantastic.
Oh yeah. And then after that I told the company that hired me, I was just like, I can't do that. I just can't. Well, how come? And I said, it doesn't sit well with me. It's like it's a risk driving up and it's a risk driving back down.
Mm.
Okay. So the one time, the girl, the Cree woman that I was seeing, she was living in Red Deer. So I went to, when I was done my 8-day cycle there, I went and drove and saw her. And God, I was getting so much strange looks in Red Deer. We went out to a bar and like it was all the Cree natives that were in this bar. They kept looking at me, and I was telling the woman that I was with, I was just like, "Can we go somewhere else?"
Mm.
She's like, "Why? Why?" And I said, "No, look at everybody. They're just eyeing me like they want to like beat me up or something." And next thing, she said, "Yeah, let's go somewhere else." It's just like, and I didn't fit. I was like a sore thumb out there to me. Like I couldn't go anywhere. I went to.
Well, that's racism right there, man.
Yeah, it's discrimination. It's not the white people. It's the Cree natives. Right?
Yes, the Crees, man. The Indians being racist against other Indians. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is the thing. One thing you gotta give credit where credit's due, cabin boy. You know, I know the history of a lot of the First Nations here was like it was shitty, man. They got dealt a shitty hand, but again, it was circumstances of the land they lived on at the time. But you gotta, I mean, when the Europeans came over here, the reason why they were able to come over here and take it over is because they learned how to get along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the difference between First Nations or like us natives here in Canada, right? We were taught to trade with them, right? They said, okay, to make your life easier, here's a knife. And in return, what we had to do is teach them that, like say for instance, oh, we could eat these berries.
Mm-hmm.
These are good for us. This is what we eat. You guys could do the same, you know? And I think that's how jam was invented, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I'm saying, a lot of when the Europeans came over here, the Cree and the Blackfoot were killing each other, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was no, they weren't doing kumbaya.
No,
you know, on the
uh-uh.
plains of Western Canada.
You know, the Cree when they came down to Indian Battle Park, they saw the water, the land, the small game, right?
Hmm.
And they thought, hey, we could stay here. And when they bumped into us, right, we saw them first, right? They're like, oh, who are these people, right? And just like I was saying before, like with these land disputes, everybody's very territorial, and that's how we are, right? Or we still are. So we
Mm.
saw the Crees, we were like, hey, these motherfuckers, what are they doing on our land, man? You know, let's go kill them.
Hmm.
That's what they were after. So land and water, small game. They thought it was like
That was
luxury.
that was diplomacy back in the day.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, but I still try to not to let that bug me. But if a Cree guy comes up and tries to like push me around, I'm like, no, fuck you, man. Oh, this is you're on my land, idiot. Get out of here. Go back up north.
Okay, well, on that note, it's 10 o'clock. I've been going for a couple hours. I can't do the marathons that Expat does,
Uh,
so I'm gonna just wind it down.
yeah.
But kind of just to wrap things up, I've been talking here with Cabin Boy. I wanted to kind of give him the platform tonight, just get his perspective, a First Nations perspective on this channel, on this MGTOW channel. We've covered stuff relevant to MGTOW, such as a lot. The state of the reservations and the native men on the reservations. We briefly touched on how, yes, there's always money to be had for missing native women, but missing native men sort of just fall into the cracks. Nobody really gives a shit.
No.
A lot of
Maybe I should go missing.
Huh?
You know, I think I'll go missing tomorrow and see if anyone gives.
See if anybody notices. They'll be like, nah, work as usual.
Yeah. Well, he'll show up.
Yeah, he'll come back one day. And then, we talked a bit about a lot of the sexual abuse, drug abuse. There's a lot of problems that are happening on the reservations today, which are happening in a lot of other places. It's just that their communities kind of makes up a very minority community, and it's out of control.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go, I also want to thank Nick for hanging in there and coming on. Still there, buddy? Maybe not.
Nope.
You there, Nick? Can you hear me, pal? He's gone.
Maybe he's gone. Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'm gonna, we'll have Cabin Boy on again at some point. I'm trying to do these maybe once a week.
Yep.
And well, if anybody has ideas about topics that they'd like to hear discussed, and Nick is going to be a regular. I like having him on, and he seems to be a favorite. So definitely going to be having Nick on again.
Really?
Huh?
So where are you going? Where are you going right now? Are you doing anything?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I'm just going to end this chat. I'm going to end this live chat. Kind of got in what we needed to.
All right.
Yeah, I've got nothing to do but just sit here because I don't have to work tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow, yeah, tomorrow's Sunday.
Yeah, it is Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna end the live chat. If you guys want to stick around for a little bit longer, that's fine. But I wanted to say, yeah, Nick, like you're constantly getting people requesting your presence, so definitely we'll try this again next week and come up with some ideas. If any of you guys have something you want to hear Nick talk about,
love you all.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is dig up my old schoolwork that that I was doing in an upgrading program, right? And it's all about the history. If I could find it, I'll look for it and probably jot some stuff down and highlight some other issues.
Sure, man.
So you go. So guys, gonna go play with your stamp collection now. Stamp collection, watch porn.
No, I have to fix my bike. I have to like tighten some stuff and
Well, I was gonna
Yeah,
say
I gotta sort through my shampoos and and I don't know.
shampoos and conditioner.
Yeah, sort them out. Maybe vacuum a little bit.
Yo, I was gonna say, if anybody listening, if they ever want to hear Nick discuss a certain topic, please send it to me in the comments, or tweet it to me on Twitter. That's under the same handle. Because I'm gonna try and do it again next week.
The topic I want to talk about is how did Marsha Brady wind up fucking Gucci Man? That's what I want to talk about.
Absolutely, we can do that. We can definitely do that.
Oh, I'm clueless in that point. I know who Marsha Brady is, but I don't know that.
The Gucci member. I scream. How did that happen?
I don't know.
Can I say something to the listeners right now?
Go ahead.
Okay, if you guys go on YouTube, okay, look up. It's a documentary of my people. It's called The Circle of the Sun. It's produced by Colin Lowe, and it's narrated by Pete Standing Alone. And this was made back in 1960s, like the early 1960s. And it's kind of outdated, but it just gives you kind of like a brief insight of how, the blood reserve life is, but it's not like that anymore. And there's
As
another.
long as it's not about like white people oppressing other people, then it's all good with me.
No, it's all about the blood tribe. And there's another one. It's an old movie that was made in 1985, maybe, but it was made on where I'm from, the Blood Reserve, about the residential school, and it's, how would I say it? No, it's okay. It's called Where the Spirit Lives. Okay, and that's when the residential school started, right? But
Okay.
they
Hey,
made the
wait.
movie.
Give me the title again, because I'll put these in the notes after. What's the title of the first one, the documentary?
Circle of the Sun.
Okay. I'll find a link to that, and I'll put it in the description of this once it goes up.
Okay.
Circle of the Sun. And the other one was what?
The movie is called Where the Spirit Lives.
Where the Spirit Lives. All right.
And I'm pretty sure that it's poor quality, though. But it
Should I
made in,
send a link? Should I put a link to Brockett 99?
No, don't do that.
Okay, never mind. That's an inside joke, guys. Okay, anyway,
Yeah.
I'll put those in. I'll put those links in, and also, Cabin Boy, if you're ever on here again, keep in mind that think about some of the stuff I talked to you about, when it comes to men's issues from your perspective, and if there's anything you notice about that, bring it up next time we talk, because it's that's the real perspective a lot of the audience that I have want to hear, because it is sort of a men's related show. But it was good to talk to you, man.
Awesome. Yeah, this was.
I'm glad you had
the first time I did this. So.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to get you on. I mean, I knew I knew I wanted to have First Nation on, and I met you through our circumstances.
Yeah.
And I thought, hey, okay, here's a guy that can I think can discuss the issue. So that's good, man. We'll definitely do it again at some point.
Sure.
Thanks for being on, and Nick, definitely we'll do the Martha Brady.
Up to you, Bong. Whatever you want, I'm here for you. Usually the weekends are best. We can make it a Saturday thing. Saturday, Sundays are best.
Saturday, Sunday, okay.
Or hit me up tomorrow during the day. I don't know what you. I'm probably gonna be laying around.
Yeah, I think I will, because Expat mentioned that too. So I'll hit you up.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna eat some taquitos and watch a World War II movie like a champ.
Right. I'm gonna have some coffee, and
coffee.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a coffee, and then I'm gonna go to bed.
Okay.
All right.
Try to go to bed at least.
Later, guys.
All right. See you later. Okay. See you guys. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.